Most people know and believe that Naruto Uzumaki, the main character of the Naruto series, is really strong. After all, he's a shonen protagonist, and, well, you're gonna be strong by default, essentially. But there's the thing, most people only start to think, oh, okay, Naruto's really strong after he gets Sage Mode in the Pain arc. Before that, people kind of sleep on Naruto and say, nah, he's not that good, he's like, whatever. After all, he's always seemed a boy lacking in talent that was born under tough circumstances and, well, is essentially not somebody like Sasuke who can pick things up really quickly. But when you actually analyze things, you're going to see that part 1 Naruto, you know, a 12-year-old boy, he was extremely powerful to an insane degree. So today we're going to be talking about that. Now, a lot of people have this wrong notion that Naruto is a story about hardworking beating natural talent, and it's probably because most casual fans got hooked on Naruto during the Rock Lee versus Gaara fight, and that was Rock Lee's philosophy. Even though it was literally wrong because Rock Lee lost to Gaara, many people think that Naruto's supposed to be a story where the underdog always wins, and if you work hard enough, you can achieve anything. And no, guys, come on, Rock Lee lost, and Naruto, he is not talentless. Many people think that because he has a tough time doing some things. He's not the best with genjutsu, he's not even the best with ninjutsu in the beginning of the series, and we clearly see him in chapter 1 struggling a lot to produce a terrible normal clone. But that doesn't mean Naruto lacked talent, because he literally had the vastest chakra pool in the entire world when he was 12 years old. This is something really good. People have different talents, but this is not really the point of the story. Some people will say, well, if Naruto is really strong and talented from the get-go, then Naruto is nullified because the story was about that. And no, the theme behind the Naruto story is how people that were dealt terrible circumstances in life overcome that and get in touch with their humanity. And it's exactly what Naruto does in chapter 1. And why am I saying all this? It doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the video topic, but it's because in chapter 1, the chapter that establishes the entire series and shows Naruto being a terrible student in the academy, not being able to produce a clone, he makes 1,000 shadow clones and defeats a Chunin. Now you may say Mizuki is fodder, he is not even worthy of being a shinobi, but he was a ninja, a much more experienced guy than Naruto was, and he even advanced further than the Genin rank, so he certainly knew some stuff. He was fighting against Iruka and giving Iruka a really tough time in chapter 1, but Naruto, this 12-year-old boy that wasn't even a ninja, that literally learned the shadow clone jutsu in that very same day, defeated him soundly. I mean, Naruto stomped Mizuki. Mizuki didn't even touch Naruto whatsoever, and he was pummeled by the army of shadow clones. Naruto learned the shadow clone jutsu in a single night, and he was able to produce 1,000 of them. Well, that's because he has an enormous chakra reserve, and he could essentially multiply himself 1,000 times. Let me put this into perspective, really, because people don't really appreciate how OP 1,000 shadow clones are. Well, yes, base Naruto back in chapter 1 isn't exactly the most powerful person in the verse, not by a long shot. We see base Naruto in part 1 getting bodied several times by several different people. I mean, Sasuke, Rock Lee, Neji, these guys completely destroy base Naruto, and they are able to destroy a lot of his shadow clones as well. But just having 1,000 of you fighting against a single opponent, even though you're not that strong, is already an insanely ability. Being able to produce 1,000 clones is so broken that Kishimoto himself thought, and he even said that in several interviews, that, oh, giving Naruto that jutsu in chapter 1 was not the best idea because it made him way too powerful, so I had to kind of dial it down. Because if you think about it, Naruto never uses 1,000 shadow clones again until he fights Gaara. Before that, there are circumstances where Naruto uses dozens of shadow clones. For instance, when he explodes out of Orochimaru's snake to get released from the stomach of the creature, and even in the fight against Neji, he uses a sizable amount, but it's only in the Gaara fight where he actually does something that resembles what he did back in chapter 1. Like, think about this for a second. If he used 1,000 shadow clones in the fight against Haku, when Sasuke and Naruto were trapped in the House of Mirrors, the clones would literally just escape the House of Mirrors and explode the mirrors out, just like he did to Orochimaru's snake, and it wouldn't really work well for Haku here, so Kishimoto had to kind of make Naruto forget about that particular ability to tell the story he wanted to. And bear in mind that Naruto in chapter chapter 1, when he did all those shadow clones, 1,000 of them, he was in base. He did not tap into the Nine-Tails' chakra to do that because we see his eyes are still normal, his whiskers are not pronounced, there's no weird chakra leaking out of him. None of the telltale signs of the Nine-Tails' chakra are present there. So Naruto literally did that in base, which is insane because if he used that more often, then things would be way easier. I mean, sure, somebody like Zabuza, who can create massive water-style attacks, could destroy a shadow clone army of a weaker shinobi like Naruto in that part of the story. But still, if he was fighting, say, against the Demon Brothers, when Naruto seemed to be unable to do anything and Sasuke had to carry the entire fight, if Naruto produced 1,000 clones just like out of nowhere, there was nothing those two guys would be able to do. Yes, maybe they would take out a dozen, even 2 dozen, maybe like 100 Naruto shadow clones, highballing them, but eventually they would get overwhelmed. Yeah, Kishimoto admits that was kind of a mistake. The best possible solution for that in chapter 1 would be for Naruto to tap into the Nine-Tails' chakra. Obviously not as much as he did against Haku, for example, but showing Naruto's eyes changing, making them red, maybe making his whiskers a little more pronounced, would be a good indicator that, oh, okay, he's tapping into the Nine-Tails' chakra here. It's pretty insane. The real explanation in universe as to why Naruto was able to do that in base is because he was trying to protect Iruka, somebody very dear to him, and therefore he got that inner strength, that mental amp, which is fine and all, but still, 1,000 is a little bit too much just for a mental amp alone. But yeah, this is what happens in the story, and Naruto defeats a Chunin with a little bit of experience, let's put it that way. So we can safely say that in chapter 1 of the Naruto series, Naruto Uzumaki is already mid-Chunin level at least. And I say at least because Naruto literally defeats a Kage in the first chapter of the series. Yes, most people don't remember it, but back in Naruto chapter 1, when Naruto steals the scroll and he looks and sees, oh, okay, the third Hokage is here, Hiruzen is gonna stop me, I can't let him do that, he uses the sexy jutsu and he knocks Hiruzen out. The third Hokage, the strongest Kage of that current era of the series, gets one shot by 12-year-old Academy Naruto with his signature sexy jutsu. And yeah, a lot of people forget that because it's quote-unquote a gag scene, but think about this for a second. Naruto stole an extremely important and classified scroll from the Leaf Village. Something that, if it falls in the wrong hands, could leak secrets of your jutsus, of everything. What Naruto is doing there is a terrible issue of security for the Leaf Village. And I don't care how much you like women, how much you like to see them and stuff like that. If you are the Hokage and you can control yourself whatsoever, you're not going to mind Naruto using the sexy jutsu. You're going to get the scroll back. Meaning that Hiruzen was literally defeated by Naruto in the first chapter of the series. So I don't want to alarm anybody or anything, but the first person Naruto Uzumaki is shown defeating in battle is the literal Hokage and one of the strongest ninjas ever in the universe. But Daigo, it's a gag scene. It's obviously supposed to be funny. That doesn't matter. He did it. He literally made Hiruzen not get the scroll back from him because he beat him in a fight. And you say, oh, it's not a fight because they didn't really swap hands, but there are several fights in the Naruto series where nobody even swaps hands. Like, there are fights only involving ninjutsu, there are strategies to go along, and take a look at the first trial of the Chunin exams, for example. It's just a written test, and it's kind of like a battle in of itself. So Naruto in chapter 1, if you highball him, he is Kage level. I mean, he literally uses the same jutsu to hit Kaguya in the last arc of the series, and yes, I hate Kaguya, but you know, it's something. He used the same strategy against Hiruzen in chapter 1, and in chapter 2, he also uses the sexy jutsu to defeat an experienced special jonin in Ebisu. He is absolutely stomped by Naruto's sexy jutsu, and he is a special jonin, something that's way above Genin level, what Naruto was at that time. He even says, when Naruto uses the multi-shadow clone jutsu around him, oh, I'm not fodder like Mizuki, you're not gonna defeat me with that, I'm gonna beat all your clones. And then Naruto uses the sexy jutsu and just says, no man, you're gonna get stomped by a 12-year-old Genin fresh out of the academy. So he backs up my claim that he is already Kage level in chapter 1 because he no diffs a special jonin. And he's like, well, that was a gag fight too. Alright, so how many gag fights does Naruto have to win for me to say he was Kage level? Let's keep going. In the Land of Waves, Naruto manages to outsmart Zabuza, the demon of the mist, a guy that's killed more people than, I don't don't know, pick your favorite dictator. And he managed to release Kakashi from the water prison jutsu in a strategy with Sasuke. Now, this may not seem extremely impressive or anything, but Zabuza was, you know, if there is somebody close to Kage level, it's gonna be Zabuza, Kakashi, and those types of jonins. And Zabuza didn't see that coming whatsoever, meaning that not only is Naruto Kage level, but he already has a decent amount of strategic development in his brain. People really underestimate Naruto's battle IQ. Yes, he's not the most book smart guy, obviously, but he can really think on his feet. Except in the next fight where he fights against Haku and he just enters the House of Mirrors because he wants to impress everybody, and that was the worst possible strategy he could have used. The optimal thing for him to do would be to attack the mirrors and Haku from the outside while Sasuke is on the inside so that Haku will be cornered, but Naruto just entered the House of Mirrors, trapping himself inside of it. And yeah, Naruto was not doing so hot against Haku in base. Sasuke was carrying the entire fight, but when Sasuke quote-unquote dies, Naruto goes insane, and that's the first time we see the Nine Tails' chakra in action. And out of nowhere, Naruto starts to react to Haku's speed, and he grabs Haku's hand, punches him around. When Zabuza and Kakashi sense the Nine Tails' chakra leaking out of Naruto, Zabuza even says, "Wait, that chakra's insane. Is that Kakashi's?" And then he corrects himself and says, "No, there's no way that's Kakashi. That's way beyond Kakashi's level. It's way more terrifying." So if that chakra is putting fear in somebody like Zabuza, it's obviously something really strong, and then Naruto beats Haku up, destroys the mirrors, and, well, he essentially won the fight. It's just that when Naruto was about to deal the finishing blow, Haku's mask fell, and he saw Haku, the guy he met in the forest in the morning of that same day, and he thought, oh, okay, I can't kill this guy, and then he have a conversation and all that. But you can see that Nine Tails' chakra here just makes Naruto way more powerful than the regular Genin, and that's not even his Shadow Clone feat. Sure, he doesn't know exactly how to tap into the chakra yet. He has to get really angry and emotional to do something as powerful as that with the Nine Tails' chakra, but still, just having something like that on top of your 1,000 Shadow Clones that you can create, and being able to defeat a Kage in chapter 1 already gives you this really, really respectable strength. Then we move on to the Chunin exams. In the first test, the written exam, Naruto literally outsmarts Ibiki, one of the smartest guys in the series, the head of interrogation of the Anbu in the Leaf Village. And you may say, well, he didn't outsmart Ibiki, he was just kind of dumb and it worked out for him. But no, Naruto had the guts to continue even if his odds weren't so good, and that was what Ibiki was trying to test for. He wanted people to show determination, and Naruto showed the utmost determination, not having answered a single question before the final question, and even still, he decided to go along with it, even though there was the threat of them never being able to advance further in Genin if they missed the question. In the Forest of Death, Naruto fights against Orochimaru, and he manages to stop a dash from one of those Orochimaru's snakes. They're absolutely massive. Imagine how strong you have to be to stop that thing. Naruto was punching that and fighting against it kind of casually even, and when he stopped it and looked at Sasuke and said, "You're a little chicken, Sasuke," that was a really nice moment, but it also showed that Naruto with the Nine Tails' chakra, he was a threat. So much so that Orochimaru, the guy that's gonna kill the third Hokage a few chapters in the future, looks at Naruto with the Nine Tails' chakra and says, "Okay, you are a bit of a threat here. It's dangerous if I let you just roam around with that chakra in you. So let me go and reinforce your seal to make sure your chakra doesn't leak out anymore." And that's exactly what he does with a 5-prong seal, reinforcing the Reaper Death seal on Naruto, which nerfs him. He makes his chakra control way less effective. He has to spend much more chakra for the same jutsus. And even still, he absolutely carries the fight against those rain ninjas that attacked them almost in the end of the Forest of Death. Like, Sasuke, Kabuto, and Sakura were just watching and Naruto was doing everything for them because Sasuke was also really nerfed because of the curse mark, but at least Naruto could move. And so he essentially defeated all 3 of them and got the scroll. Now, he fights against Kiba. It's not his most impressive fight, but, you know, he was nerfed, and he just farts on Kiba's face and wins the fight. Pretty easy dub. Jiraiya then teaches him how to tap into the Nine Tails' chakra, and that makes him so much more powerful. So much so that his next fight is against Neji Hyuga, the guy that everybody says is unbeatable because he has a perfect defense, perfect eyesight with a Byakugan, and Naruto's just like, nah bro, Nine Tails' chakra go brrrr. form and defeats the Hyuga genius. And you can kind of see that Naruto was going easy on Neji because he didn't use 1,000 shadow clones, for example. He was really trying to save some chakra for Sasuke because Sasuke would be his next fight if he won and Sasuke won as well, and if the Chunin exams weren't interrupted, obviously. Then Naruto has probably his most insane fight in Naruto chapter 1 when it comes to just power levels. He fights against Gaara, and we see Naruto's just something else here. The first thing Naruto does is literally kicking Gaara when he was about to kill Sasuke. And like, kicking Gaara and just using taijutsu to blow him back is not something simple because he was half consumed by the power of Shukaku already in a partial transformation. His taijutsu skills, quote unquote, were extreme. He was rivaling Sasuke's speed. In the Chunin exams with the Sharingan, he was destroying the forest with casual punches and whatnot. And Naruto's just like, nah bruh, I'm just gonna kick you in the face. And yeah, Naruto definitely struggles a little bit with Gaara here, but then he's like, nah, I'm not gonna let you kill Sakura. He then uses not 1,000, not 2,000, not 3,000, not 4,000. He uses 5,000 shadow clones against Gaara. And that's after Gaara's entire body is consumed by the Shukaku Sand. He's not at his full form yet, but that's a formidable version of Gaara. And Naruto rushes him with that absolutely insane barrage of 5,000 shadow clones. He even uses Kakashi's signature 1,000 years of death jutsu against Gaara, but instead of shoving 2 fingers, he shoves Akuna with a paper bomb, which actually does some damage to the armor of sand encasing Gaara. And he forces Gaara to go 100%. He releases the entire Shukaku form and essentially turns into that gigantic tanuki. Naruto then summons Gamabunta, and the fight that ensues is of epic proportions. Gigantic water bullets from Gamabunta clashing against enormous wind bullets from Shukaku. The explosions creating this ring that spreads around the entire forest and shockwaves destroying everything in their path, the forest being leveled by the 2 massive behemoths. Sasuke, who's out of chakra and unable to move because the curse mark, just looks at it and says, what the hell is going on? How is Naruto that insanely powerful? It's not real. And yeah, Naruto literally goes toe-to-toe against a full tail beast and wins the fight when he was 12 years old. Just the sheer scale of Gaara versus Naruto. It's a kaiju battle. They're leveling the forest all around them. It's something unlike anything we had ever seen before. Even Orochimaru versus Hiruzen in that very same arc, a fight involving 3 Hokage, didn't have that type of scale. And one of the episodes in that fight is literally named Hokage versus Hokage, so that, yeah, that's a Hokage level battle, but it's kind of put to shame by Naruto versus Gaara, and Naruto wins that fight, which is pretty crazy. It's a tailed beast, one of the creatures of legend created by the Sage of Six Paths out of the 10 tails. It's destruction incarnate, and yes, the Shukaku is the weakest of the tail beasts, but it's still a tail beast nonetheless. You're not supposed to defeat those things when you are 12 years old. People who should be defeating tail beasts are Kage level fighters. Oh, wait a second. Oh yes, 12-year-old Naruto's Kage level. I've been saying that he is since chapter 1. I was right. And then you may be saying, well, but it's not actually Naruto who defeats Gaara, it's Gamabunta. Well, of course, because Naruto didn't summon Gamabunta in the battlefield. It didn't acquire the ability to do so. It didn't acquire Gamabunta's loyalty when he summoned him for the first time. It's the same thing as saying, oh, Sasori is really weak because he has to use puppets, you know? So doesn't count. Sasori is actually fodder. Because if he didn't summon the puppets into the battlefield, he'll be really weak, you know? Or Shino, oh, if Shino doesn't get his insects, then he's really weak, man. It doesn't matter. Obviously, it counts. Naruto defeats a tail beast at 12 years old, and that's pretty insane. Something that's never been done before. And even if you say Kabuto did most heavy lifting there, Naruto literally clutched the fight. He was the one who transformed Gamabunta into a version of the Nine Tails to grab Shukaku so that Naruto could go and headbutt Gaara and wake him up out of his stupor. In the Search for Tsunade arc, Naruto learns the Rasengan, an A-class jutsu that's extremely potent and useful for fights. And he fights against Kabuto, a character that every single character that talks about his strength in Naruto Part 1 put him around Kakashi's level. Kakashi, arguably the strongest jonin of the Leaf Village at that time. And Naruto literally fights the guy and he loses the fight, sure, but he pretty much stalemates him. And yes, Kabuto had one of his arms unutilized because of the previous fight against Tsunade, so he wasn't at full potential, but he manages to outplay Kabuto in taijutsu, grabbing his arm and then shoving a Rasengan because he literally immobilized Kabuto by grabbing his arm with strength alone. And yeah, the first Rasengan Naruto ever uses deals a lot of damage. So much so that Kabuto is unable to completely recover from it with his healing abilities, and he collapses. Naruto collapses as well because Kabuto shoves his hand into his heart and uses his scalpels to cut through his heart muscles. And if not for Tsunade, Naruto would have died in there, but even still, it's a pretty impressive feat. Imagine for a second that the guy he fought against was not Kabuto, but Kakashi instead, because they're pretty much around the same level, and you're gonna see how powerful Naruto actually is. Even though, yes, Kakashi is more powerful than Kabuto, but they're at the same league, which is already pretty insane. And that very same Kabuto, just a couple of chapters before, was fighting against Tsunade and beating her up, the future 5th Hokage. And yes, Tsunade was heavily nerfed because of her hemophobia and her fears and insecurities about Dawn and Owaki and wanting to become a Hokage, but wanting as well. All that inner conflict put her in a bad place for that fight. But even still, I mean, she's the future 5th Hokage, and Naruto is beating up the guy who beat her up. Sounds like a Kage level feat to me. Then we go to the Sasuke retrieval arc. And yes, Naruto loses his major fight in that arc against Sasuke. But I mean, it's Sasuke, and he used the second stage of the curse mark against him. And it was almost a tie. Sasuke won by the slightest of margins. People don't really appreciate the level of that fight between Naruto and Sasuke in the Valley of the End. It's not just the best fight in the entire series and in the shonen genre, but it's also a fight between two extremely powerful ninjas. Yes, they're two genin, but their level is not of a genin. I mean, ever since the end of the Chunin exams, Genma literally told Sasuke, yeah, you're not genin level anymore, but go and get Gaara for me when the invasion of the Leaf Village started. But in here we see that, yes, these two guys, they're not genin level, they're far above that. And one of the cool things about this fight is that they're progressively getting more amps. When Sasuke gets his control over the curse mark, Naruto uses the Nine Tails' chakra and starts to pummel Sasuke down. Then Sasuke awakens the third Tomoe and starts to pummel Naruto down. Then Naruto gets the one tail cloak of the Nine Tails and starts to pummel Sasuke down. Then Sasuke gets the second stage of the curse mark, and then they're pretty much even, and Sasuke wins by a hair. And Naruto was throwing those massive chakra attacks of the Nine Tails' cloak. He was using the extension of his cloak to grab Sasuke and then punch him down. His taijutsu was insane at that level. His speed was out of the charts. The only way Sasuke was seeing his movements before the cloak was because he awakened the third Tomoe. But after Naruto acquired the cloak, not even the third Tomoe could see Naruto moving properly, because it was as though the Nine Tails' chakra and Naruto had two ideas about to move, and they were essentially two different entities, making it hard for the Sharingan to read his movements. Naruto was casually tanking Sasuke's fireball with a cloak as well, and the final clash just creates that dark orb of destruction. It's a really nice shot. And let's be real here, in the end of that fight, with their max amps, Naruto and Sasuke were definitely Jonin level, like, no question. Do you really think somebody fodder like Kurenai is beating Naruto with a one-tail cloak? Like, there's no way. She's getting absolutely overwhelmed by it. I would even say that somebody like Asuma would have a really tough time against that Naruto. I mean, he lost to Hidan, the most fodder Akatsuki member. The Naruto even has the ability to create a Rasengan without a shadow clone, which gives him a big buff. And combining that with his previous feats against Gaara, against Hiruzen, this kid is Kage level, and he's been Kage level ever since chapter 1 of the series. So don't sleep on Kid Naruto. That's the lesson of the video. Please subscribe to make sure you receive my future videos. Also like this video, help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Let's do it. And watch this other video right here. Come on, let's marathon my channel. Let's do it. Thank you so much for watching, guys.